Your attention, please. You're an important part of any disaster response. You may find the following information critical in the event of an emergency. Alameda County Point of Dispensing POD training. The future depends on protecting those among us who are vulnerable. Their best hope is your training and skill. We public health responders are the first line of defense. Terrorism, especially bioterrorism, has added new and alarming dimensions to our emergency preparedness needs. Potential targets identified within or close to Alameda County include the Bay Bridge, the San Mateo Hayward Bridge, the Oakland Coliseum Complex, Lawrence Livermore National Lab, BART tracks and stations, the Oakland International Airport, and the Port of Oakland. In addition, the FBI warns that any public buildings, shopping malls, schools, utilities, refineries, or chemical and nuclear research facilities may also be targets. The guidelines for your role in a response may vary depending on the exact nature of an event and its location. Since 2002, the Alameda County Public Health Department has been working with city, county, and other stakeholders on plans to respond as quickly as possible to preserve health and prevent the spread of disease in case of a bioterror attack or other such public health emergencies. These plans are referred to as mass prophylactic medical countermeasures. An essential part of this process involves dispensing medicines or other essential survival support to large numbers of the population. The points of dispensing where this takes place are known as PODs. City officials have the primary responsibility for all PODs within their jurisdictions. Alameda County is responsible for any PODs located in unincorporated areas of the county. Together, city and county officials have identified and evaluated many potential POD sites. While most cities in Alameda County have 1 or 2 PODs within their city limits, some have as many as 5. PODs are generally set up at school gymnasiums and big auditoriums where large numbers of people can easily come and go. In the event of a public health disaster, you'll be notified by automated phone system or phone tree if the phones are working. If not, you may need to listen to the radio or TV for instructions. You may be asked to report immediately to a POD, or you may be requested to stand by. PODs will be open 24 hours a day and staffed in 12-hour shifts. Depending on the situation, the POD campaign may go on for days or weeks. Be prepared. When reporting to a POD, wear comfortable clothes and always bring your driver's license and work IDs along with any personal medications you might require over the course of the emergency. At the POD, you'll sign in and be given a role with duties explained in your job action sheet. Efforts will be made to fit your professional skills, but every role is critical. You'll immediately be provided medication for yourself and, if take-home prescriptions are involved, additional medication for those living in your household. The most extreme case, and the standard for which we train, is bioterror anthrax attack. In an anthrax attack, the maximum window for emergency treatment is around 48 hours. Treating an entire urban community within that time frame will require everyone to perform their duties quickly and efficiently. Why the rush? If a person is exposed to a deadly biological agent such as anthrax, plague, or tularemia, their odds of survival are greatly improved if they receive protective medication before becoming symptomatic. This strategy of providing protective medication to the exposed while still healthy is called post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP. For PEP to be maximally effective, exposed persons need to be prophylaxed as soon as possible after exposure. Time is critical. In vulnerable individuals, symptoms may begin to appear as early as 24 hours. Simply said, the more people we prophylax in the shortest amount of time, the more lives we potentially save. A swift and aggressive prophylaxis campaign in our community has the potential to save hundreds of thousands of lives. Your participation as a mass prophylaxis responder can make a huge difference. But be aware that everyone participating in an emergency may need to change their normal operating procedures. The mission, getting medications to the masses, sounds simple. But in the event of a large release of weaponized anthrax across the county, we may need to prophylax the entire county population, citizens and visitors. In Alameda County, this means treating 1.5 million people in under 2 days. Unlike many public health services, this mission will focus on mass care rather than individualized care. Many of you are experienced health professionals whose instincts may draw you towards reassuring bedside conversation. But remember, speed equals survival. In a real event, energy and emotions will be running high. A balance must be sought between the time pressure and individual service. This is easy to forget, especially during drills where cooperation and positive experience are more imperative than speed. So everyone must use their best judgment to expedite dispensing of medications while maintaining a reasonable standard of interaction with the public. The number one rule for all pod staff in a time-critical emergency is be positive and supportive, but always keep the line moving. Pod commanders, section chiefs, group supervisors, and unit leaders should always be on the lookout for ways to improve bottlenecks and speed up flow. In the most extreme circumstances, authorities may choose to lift record-keeping requirements and move from a paper model to a paperless model. And while we sometimes train using a paperless model, most emergencies will require keeping records for tracking medication dispensing. Wherever you work in a pod, your job is to support the rapid flow of dispensing and to maintain quality public health care to our citizens and visitors. The Alameda County Public Health Department uses the federally defined Incident Command System, or ICS. ICS has 5 activities at work in the pod: command, operations, planning, logistics, and finance administrative support. Command is handled in each pod by a staff under the direction of a site manager, responsible for overall pod operations. The site manager is the primary on-site decision maker. Site managers and their command staff will communicate beyond the pod to the City Emergency Operations Center, or EOC, which will in turn communicate up the chain of command with regional, state, and federal officials. Local law enforcement will provide security and liaison with pod command staff. The Alameda County Sheriff will be focused on community-wide support and make officers available as needed. The remaining pod sections carry out the dispensing mission. Operations are the center stage of the pod mission. Most of you will be assigned to jobs in the operations branch. Your role is dispensing the medication. The planning branch keeps ahead of pod operations by anticipating needs and problem solving in advance. The planning branch monitors operations and reports to the pod site manager, and if designated, to city or county EOC officials. The logistics branch manages personnel, supplies, and equipment. From medicines to clipboards, they'll make sure your station or area is supplied with everything you need. The finance administrative branch tracks and records everything. They're responsible for purchasing supplies and maintaining records of resources and personnel needed to keep the pod functioning. You might think of the pod as a public service business, like a restaurant. It works in two phases: front of the house, where staff is dealing directly with the public, and back of the house, where staff is supporting the front of the house operation. In the front of the house, operations are teamed with planning. Operations carries out dispensing, and planning handles the paperwork and monitoring to support it. Behind the scenes at the back of the house, logistics is teamed with finance. Logistics supplies the operation, and finance accounts for it. All of these sections work interdependently under the supervision of command. Keep in mind that the structure of a pod must be flexible. In some situations, not all pod positions will need to be filled for the pod to function. Now, let's take a look at the pod from the public's perspective. The pod site has two basic flow tracks, the express track and the assistance track. 95% of people will go through the express track and receive medications normally. The assistance track is only for the small percentage whose health would be threatened without special medical attention or communication. The pod process is meant to be fast and simple. Fill out a form. Have it reviewed for allergies or complications. Receive medication, and turn in your form with name and medication listed together. And if you need special assistance, there are medical and communications experts available to help. Admittedly, this simple flow can appear complicated when laid out to maximize space in a building, but the basic flow remains the same. The first person the public encounters is the greeter. As part of the fill-out form station, greeters organize people while generally watching for illness or emergencies that might negatively impact the flow. From this point forward, we'll refer to the public as our clients, and we should try to treat them that way. Greeters need to monitor the whole line, walk up and down the entire line. One greeter should always be stationed at the very start of the line. The rest of the fill-out forms team includes flow control staff who hand out forms and ensure that clients fill them out before proceeding. If you encounter someone who's sick outside the pod, quickly separate them from the rest of the crowd. Don't send them into the pod, but get them to an outside medical team. If they're ill, they'll be transported to a healthcare facility for treatment. People may have a lot of questions. Always be reassuring, but try to refer them to signage or to printed material they'll receive further ahead, and then, if there's time, calmly answer their questions, but only if you're certain you know the answer and it will contribute to the flow. As early as possible, clients should be given antibiotic screening forms to complete. Clients may pick up medicine for other family members, but they'll need to complete screening information for each person. It's difficult to fill out forms while standing. Make sure you have more than enough pens and clipboards to stay ahead of the next station. The next station, show forms, is usually the first bottleneck in pod flow. As a forms reviewer, your mission is to quickly check the screening form for all no answers and pass clients to the pickup medicine station. You must be especially efficient and fast. Forms are designed so that any yes answers will stick out. Forms aren't perfect, and people may be tempted to choose yes answers unnecessarily. Quickly confirm the reason for a yes. A single confirmed yes means immediate redirection to the assistance track. At the pickup medicine station, clients will be given their medicine and medicine for their family if appropriate. The anthrax scenario calls for pill dispensing. Other situations may require vaccine injections. Injection pods will have a different dispensing plan, but all other parts of the pod should be roughly the same. Pills are easier because one person can pick up medications for entire households. Adult dispensing is fairly simple, but pediatric medications can require more instruction. Since dispensing is the second likely bottleneck in the pod, delays at this station should be kept to a minimum. With their medications in hand, clients will drop off their forms at the turn-in form station and then exit. Now there's time for questions and additional information. Try to place the question and answer area near but not blocking the exit. This is where the public will pose questions to information officers. Additional written materials should be within easy reach. To keep the express track moving fast, the assistance track is split off to the side into two service areas: medical evaluation and special needs. At medical evaluation, a clinical healthcare provider can make any necessary medical decisions. Sick patients will be evacuated to a healthcare facility. Allergy concerns are typically resolved either at medical evaluation or by sending the client back to the pickup medicine station to receive medication just like other express track clients. The final station in the assistance track is the special needs area, a one-stop catch-all for any remaining concerns, both medical and otherwise. Its mission is to handle any problem other stations can't handle that might disrupt flow. Use the assistance track sparingly. Each special case consumes extra time and resources. Candidates for special needs include those requiring assistance with communication, mobility, or sensory impairment. Use common sense. Not all people in wheelchairs are special needs cases. And just because someone speaks another language doesn't mean that they require translation services. Most clients will have a functional understanding of English that can be supplemented by printed material in their native languages available at the exit. So be diligent not to overwhelm the assistance track. Depending on the disaster, mental health may also be a special needs consideration. Psychological first aid can be as important as medical prophylaxis. Large pods usually have staff assigned to mental health. Typically, they're either roaming the pod or in the special needs area. And while you're busy taking care of others, don't forget to take care of yourself. Take food and water breaks when scheduled, and remember your own prescription medications. You might also bring personal basics to have at hand, such as aspirin. No matter where you are in the pod, always do your best to communicate quickly and keep lines moving. Remember that the plan described here addresses a typical anthrax scenario, but a point of dispensing pod is a useful system for many other types of public health disasters. So, to review quickly, greeters organize people as they arrive, while forms controllers distribute forms and pens. Both are on the lookout for any emergencies like ill clients who should be taken out of line and assisted. Forms reviewers sort out the 1 in 20 or fewer special cases requiring assistance. Forms review staff should work fast and always be busy since they often dictate the speed of the line and therefore the survival rate. Dispensing is the primary mission, so those handling medications must work efficiently. Pre-bagged medications, signs, and printed materials help, but most important is teamwork. And if you're answering questions at the end, try to draw people out of the pod and make sure they don't congregate at the exit. The assistance track, which includes medical evaluation and special needs, is meant only to supplement the dispensing operation. These services don't take the place of a family doctor or healthcare facility. The assistance track is primarily for the small number of clients whose health would be critically threatened by receiving medication normally through the express track. For everyone else working on supplies, record keeping, planning, or support, the pod doesn't function without you. Everyone performs a key role in getting medication to the masses. And everyone affects the speed of the line. Always be reassuring, but keep the line moving, because speed equals survival. The Alameda County Public Health Department thanks you for watching this presentation. Advanced training for station leaders, command staff, and individual ICS sections is available in other modules. Your participation and continued training for public health disasters helps ensure that we're as ready as we can be when our citizens and our communities need us. This POD video training series is brought to you by the Alameda County Public Health Department, Office of Public Health Emergency Preparedness, in collaboration with Applied Creative Training, Inc.